Chief Adebayo stood frozen under the blazing afternoon sun, staring at something he could not believe. His eyes were locked on his daughter, Blessing, sitting under a large mango tree with a girl dressed in rags. The barefoot girl had dusty legs and torn clothes. She held a worn-out plastic bag in one hand and was pointing at a textbook with the other. Blessing was laughing, nodding, writing something down. Chief Adebayo's security men stood behind him, confused. Teachers whispered among themselves. Students peeked from classroom windows. This was not just any school. This was Royalty International Academy in Victoria Island, Lagos. Only the richest children attended here. The school fees alone could feed a family for 2 years. So who was this street girl sitting with his daughter like they were best friends? Chief Adebayo's jaw tightened. His assistants waited for his command. One of them whispered, "Sir, should we send her away?" But the billionaire did not answer. He was watching his daughter's face. Blessing looked happy. More than happy. She looked alive in a way he had not seen in years. He took a step forward. The teachers straightened their uniforms. The security men moved closer. Blessing suddenly looked up and saw him. Her smile disappeared. Fear filled her eyes. The street girl noticed too and tried to stand, but her legs shook with terror. Chief Adebayo walked slowly toward them, his expensive shoes crunching against the dry grass. His face was unreadable. His voice was calm but heavy with authority. "Blessing," he said quietly, "what is going on here?" Blessing swallowed hard. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. The girl beside her bowed her head low, clutching her plastic bag like it was the only thing protecting her. Chief Adebayo's eyes moved from his daughter to the trembling girl. He noticed her bare feet. He saw the dirt under her nails. He smelled the faint odor of the streets clinging to her clothes. Then he asked the question that would change everything. "Who are you and what are you doing with my daughter?" The girl looked up slowly. Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She took a deep breath and said in a shaky voice, "My name is Ngozi, sir." "I was teaching her." Chief Adebayo blinked. His expression did not change, but inside, something stirred. "Teaching her?" he repeated slowly. Blessing grabbed Ngozi's hand and held it tight. Her voice was desperate. "Daddy, please. Don't send her away." The entire school seemed to hold its breath. What would the powerful billionaire do next? 3 months earlier, Ngozi's life looked very different. She woke up every morning on a dirty sidewalk in Oshodi, one of the busiest and roughest parts of Lagos. Her mother, Amaka, sat beside her every day talking to people who were not there. Sometimes she sang songs that made no sense. Other times she screamed at the sky and threw stones at passing cars. People called Amaka a mad woman. They called Ngozi the mad woman's daughter. Traders chased them away from their shops. Children threw stones at them. Nobody wanted them around. Ngozi was only 12 years old, but she had lived through more pain than most adults. She had no father. She did not even know his name. When she asked her mother once, Amaka had looked at her with empty eyes and said, "Maybe the rain. Your father is the rain." That was the only answer Ngozi ever got. They had no home. They slept under a broken kiosk near the market. When it rained, they got soaked. When it was hot, they burned under the sun. Their mattress was flattened cardboard. Their blanket was silence and mosquitoes. Every morning, Ngozi helped her mother wash up using water from a gutter pipe. Then they would sit by the roadside while Amaka begged for money. Sometimes people dropped coins. Most times they dropped insults. "Dirty thing. Move from here before I pour water on you." Ngozi heard those words almost every day. She stopped crying about it long ago. Tears did not fill empty stomachs. Tears did not send girls to school. But Ngozi was smart. Very smart. She could do math in her head faster than most teachers. She could read signs and posters even though she had only attended school for 2 years. A kind woman named Auntie Folake had once paid her school fees. For 3 beautiful weeks, Ngozi wore a uniform and sat in a real classroom. She answered every question. She memorized everything the teacher said. Then Auntie Folake disappeared. She traveled abroad without warning. The school sent Ngozi away because nobody paid her fees anymore. Ngozi cried that day. She stood outside the school gate for hours waiting for Auntie Folake to come back. But she never did. After that, Ngozi began sneaking into different schools. She would peek through windows and listen to lessons from outside. She wrote notes on old newspapers and torn cardboard. She taught herself everything she could. One day she found Royalty International Academy. It had tall golden gates and beautiful buildings. The children wore the cleanest uniforms she had ever seen. They carried lunch boxes and colorful bags. Ngozi found a hole in the fence and squeezed through. She hid behind a large mango tree and watched a classroom through an open window. That was where she first saw Blessing. Blessing sat alone during lunch break while other children played. She looked sad even though she had everything. Ngozi wondered why a rich girl could look so unhappy. Then one day Blessing noticed her. "You're the girl who's always hiding," Blessing said, walking toward the mango tree. "Why do you keep coming here?" Ngozi's heart pounded. She thought Blessing would call the security men. Instead, Blessing sat down beside her. "I come here to learn," Ngozi whispered. Blessing looked at her for a long time. Then she said something Ngozi never expected. "Can you teach me?" Ngozi stared at Blessing in confusion. "Teach you? But you go to the best school in Lagos." Blessing looked down at her polished shoes. Tears filled her eyes. "Everyone thinks I'm stupid. My teachers say I'm slow. My classmates laugh at me behind my back." She wiped her face quickly. "My daddy pays so much money for this school, but I still don't understand anything. I feel like I'm wasting his money." Ngozi's heart softened. She understood what it felt like to be looked down on. She knew how it felt when people thought you were nothing. "What don't you understand?" Ngozi asked gently. Blessing pulled out her mathematics textbook. "Fractions. I've been stuck on this for 2 weeks. My teacher explained it 5 times, but I still don't get it." Ngozi looked at the page. She studied it for a moment, then picked up a stick. She drew in the dirt, explaining slowly and clearly. Within minutes, Blessing's eyes lit up. "Wait. I think I understand now." Blessing grabbed her pencil and started solving problems. She got them right. All of them. She looked at Ngozi with wonder. "How did you do that?" "You explained it better than all my teachers combined." Ngozi smiled shyly. "I just know how to make hard things simple." From that day forward, they met under the mango tree every single day. Blessing would bring her textbooks and lunch. Ngozi would bring her brilliant mind and endless patience. Blessing started improving in school. Her grades went up. Her confidence grew. Teachers were shocked. Her father was proud. But nobody knew the secret behind her success. Nobody knew about the barefoot girl who taught her during lunch break. The 2 girls became best friends. Blessing shared her food with Ngozi. She brought extra sandwiches, meat pies, and fruit juice. For Ngozi, those lunches were like feasts from heaven. Ngozi shared stories with Blessing. She told her about the streets, about her mother's sickness, about her dreams of becoming a teacher one day. Blessing listened like every word mattered. "You're not just smart, Ngozi," Blessing said one afternoon. "You're magical. You make everything make sense." Ngozi had never been called magical before. People usually called her cursed. Hearing those words from Blessing made her heart swell with hope. But they kept their friendship a secret. Blessing was too afraid to tell her father. How could she explain that her best friend was a homeless girl? How could she tell him that a street child was the reason for her success? "What if my daddy finds out?" Blessing asked one day, fear in her voice. "Then you'll forget me," Ngozi said quietly. "Rich people don't want their children around girls like me." "No," Blessing said firmly. "I'll never forget you. Never." Ngozi wanted to believe her, but she had learned not to hope too much. Hope hurt when it was taken away. Still, every day under that mango tree felt like a gift. For the first time in her life, Ngozi had a friend. Someone who saw her. Someone who listened. Someone who did not call her dirty or cursed. At night, when Ngozi lay beside her mother on the cold pavement, she would close her eyes and smile. She would remember Blessing's laughter and the way she clapped when Ngozi helped her solve a difficult problem. "God," Ngozi whispered into the darkness, "please don't let me lose this friend. She's the only good thing I have." But deep down Ngozi knew the truth. Secrets like theirs never stayed hidden forever. And when the truth came out, everything would change. Ngozi had another life besides teaching Blessing. Every morning before going to the school, she worked as a pure water seller on the streets of Oshodi. She balanced a heavy tray on her head, walking for hours under the hot sun. Her feet burned on the hot asphalt. Her neck ached from the weight. But she kept moving. "Pure water. Cold pure water," she shouted until her voice went hoarse. Grown women pushed her aside. Boys stole her customers. Drivers cursed at her. Buses almost hit her. But Ngozi did not give up. Every sachet she sold brought her closer to buying food for her mother. Some days were good. She would sell enough to buy gari and a little soup. Other days were terrible. Once, a man gave her 200 naira as a gift, but a teenage boy snatched it and ran away. Ngozi chased him, but he disappeared into the crowded market. She sat by the gutter and cried that day. People walked past without looking at her. Despite everything, Ngozi kept her mind sharp. While selling water, she would recite mathematics tables in her head. She would practice English spellings silently. Her body was on the streets, but her mind was always learning. One afternoon, after selling water, she went to find her mother. Amaka was sitting by the roadside trying to feed a dead bird with muddy water. "Mommy, it's me. Let's go somewhere safe," Ngozi whispered. But Amaka slapped her across the face. "Who are you? The angel with black wings?" Ngozi wiped the blood from her lip. She was used to this. Her mother did not always recognize her. The sickness in Amaka's mind had stolen her memory and her joy. Still, Ngozi sat beside her mother and held her hand. That night, they slept on the cold pavement. Amaka laughed in her sleep. Ngozi stayed awake, staring at the stars. "Why did you make me so smart if I can never use it?" she whispered to God. "Why did you give me this brain just to suffer?" No answer came. Just the sound of cars honking and distant music from a bar. The next day, Ngozi put on her torn dress and went back to Royalty International Academy. She squeezed through the hole in the fence and ran to the mango tree. Blessing was already waiting with a lunchbox and a bright smile. "I've been waiting for you. I have so many questions today." Ngozi smiled back, pushing away the pain of the morning. Under that tree she was not a water seller. She was not the mad woman's daughter. She was a teacher. She was important. She mattered. They studied together for an hour. Blessing solved every problem correctly. She was getting better every single day. "Ngozi," Blessing said suddenly, "one day I'm going to tell my daddy about you. I promise." Ngozi's heart raced with fear. What if he says we can't be friends anymore? Blessing grabbed her hand tightly. "Then I'll scream until he says yes." Ngozi wanted to believe her. She wanted to hope. But hope was dangerous for girls like her. Hope had disappointed her too many times before. That evening, as Ngozi walked back to the streets, she passed children going home with their parents. They laughed and talked about their day. They carried new books and toys. Ngozi looked down at her bare feet and dusty legs. She touched the torn edge of her dress. For a moment, jealousy burned in her chest. But then she remembered Blessing's words. "You're magical, Ngozi." She smiled through her pain and whispered to herself, "Maybe one day magic will find me too." But she had no idea that the day of discovery was coming soon. The day Chief Adebayo discovered the truth started like any other. Blessing woke up excited, counting down the hours until lunch break when she would see Ngozi again. She had prepared extra food that morning. Jollof rice, fried plantain, chicken, and 2 bottles of juice. She packed it all carefully, imagining how happy Ngozi would be. During class, Blessing answered 3 questions correctly. Her teacher praised her in front of everyone. Other students clapped. Blessing smiled, but inside she thought, if only they knew it was Ngozi who taught me all this. At exactly 12:35, the lunch bell rang. Blessing grabbed her bag and rushed outside to the mango tree. Her heart was light. Her smile was bright. But when she got there, something felt wrong. The air was heavy with tension. Security men stood near the tree. Teachers whispered to each other nervously. Then Blessing saw the black SUVs parked by the school entrance. Her blood ran cold. Those were her father's cars. "Daddy," she whispered in panic. "Why is he here?" Before she could move, Ngozi appeared from behind the tree, breathless and smiling as always. "I'm here. Sorry I'm late. My mother had a bad morning, but She stopped talking when she saw Blessing's face. "What's wrong?" Blessing pointed with a shaking hand. "My daddy. He's here." Ngozi turned and saw him. Chief Adebayo stood tall and powerful in his black agbada and leather sandals. His presence filled the entire compound. Even from far away his authority was felt. "I have to go," Ngozi whispered, terror filling her voice. "I have to leave before." "Blessing." Chief Adebayo's deep voice cut through the air. It was too late. He had seen them. Blessing froze. Ngozi's body trembled so badly she thought her legs would give out. Chief Adebayo walked toward them slowly, followed by 2 assistants and the school principal. His eyes moved from his daughter to the barefoot girl beside her. His face showed nothing. "No anger. No confusión. Nothing." "What are you doing out here?" he asked Blessing calmly. Blessing swallowed hard. I was having lunch, Daddy." "With who?" His eyes stayed on Ngozi. Ngozi could not move. She wanted to run, but her feet felt like stone. She bowed her head low, unable to meet his gaze. "This is Ngozi," Blessing said quickly, stepping in front of her friend. "She's my friend." Chief Adebayo's eyebrows rose slightly. "You're what?" "My friend." She helps me. She teaches me. A long, terrible silence followed. Teachers held their breath. Students watched from classroom windows. The entire school seemed to stop breathing. Chief Adebayo's voice came out quiet but heavy. Who are your parents, child? Ngozi's voice was barely a whisper. I don't know my father, sir. My mother, she's sick. She begs by the roadside in Oshodi. People say she's mad. We have no home. One of the assistants shifted uncomfortably. The principal looked down at her shoes. Chief Adebayo studied the trembling girl. Her torn dress. Her dusty legs. Her bare feet. But also her intelligent eyes. Her quiet dignity despite her fear. You're not in school? He asked. Ngozi shook her head. No, sir. Why? No one to pay my fees. The woman who used to help me, she left Nigeria 2 years ago. Blessing grabbed Ngozi's hand tightly. Chief Adebayo watched that gesture. His daughter holding the street girl's hand like she was precious. You've been coming here every day? He asked. Teaching my daughter in secret? Yes, sir, Ngozi whispered. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have. She's the reason I'm doing well in school, Daddy, Blessing interrupted, tears in her eyes. I wanted to tell you, but I was scared you wouldn't let me see her again. Chief Adebayo looked at his daughter for a long moment. Then he turned back to Ngozi and said something that shocked everyone. Take me to your mother. 30 minutes later, Chief Adebayo's convoy pulled into the dusty streets of Oshodi. The smell of burning trash filled the air. Dirty water ran through open gutters. People stared as the expensive cars drove past. Ngozi sat in the back seat, her body stiff with fear. Blessing held her hand tightly. Chief Adebayo sat quietly, looking out the window at the poverty surrounding them. She's there, Ngozi said softly, pointing to a woman sitting on the sidewalk. Amaka sat barefoot, rocking back and forth. Her clothes were torn and filthy. Her hair was matted with dirt. She was laughing at nothing, talking to the air. That's my mommy, Ngozi whispered, tears filling her eyes. Chief Adebayo stepped out of the car. His assistants followed, but he raised his hand to stop them. He walked alone to where Amaka sat and crouched down beside her. Madam, he said gently. Amaka looked up at him with wild eyes. Did you bring my wings? I left them in your car. Ngozi covered her face with her hands, embarrassed and heartbroken. But Chief Adebayo did not flinch. He spoke to Amaka softly, like she was a human being worthy of respect. I'm going to help her, he said, standing up and turning to Ngozi. I know good doctors. She needs proper care. Please, sir, Ngozi said desperately. I don't want money. I just want her to be okay. Chief Adebayo placed a firm hand on her shoulder. I'm going to help both of you. He turned to his assistant. Call Dr. Chioma at the psychiatric hospital in Lekki. Full treatment. No dilas. I'll pay for everything. The assistant immediately made the call. Within minutes, an ambulance was on its way. Chief Adebayo knelt in front of Ngozi and looked into her eyes. From today you are not a homeless girl anymore. Ngozi's lips trembled. She could not believe what she was hearing. You have a father now, he said firmly. Me. Ngozi's legs gave out. She fell to her knees and wept. Blessing ran to her and hugged her tightly. The two girls cried together while Chief Adebayo watched with something soft in his eyes. That evening everything changed. Amaka was taken to the best psychiatric hospital in Lagos. Ngozi took her first proper bath in years. She wore clean clothes. She slept in a real bed in Chief Adebayo's mansion. The next morning, Ngozi stood in front of a mirror wearing a brand new Royalty International Academy uniform. She could not recognize herself. You look just like me, Blessing said, clapping with joy. I feel like I'm dreaming, Ngozi whispered. You're not, Blessing said. This is real. You belong here now. That day the two girls walked into school together. Matching uniforms. Matching bags. Matching smiles. Everyone stared in shock. Teachers whispered. Students gasped. The girl who used to hide behind windows now walked through the front gate as a student. In class, Ngozi raised her hand and answered every question brilliantly. By the end of the day her teachers were amazed. Where did this girl come from? They asked. From the streets, the principal said with a smile. But now she's family. Weeks passed. Ngozi visited her mother every week at the hospital. Slowly, with medication and care, Amaka began to heal. One day she looked at Ngozi and whispered, You look like the sky. Ngozi burst into tears of joy. Her mother was coming back. Ngozi's life transformed completely. She made new friends. She excelled in every subject. But Blessing remained her closest sister, not by blood but by bond. One evening, Chief Adebayo called Ngozi to his study. "You've changed my daughter's life," he said. "And mine too. As far as I'm concerned, you're my child now." He handed her a brand new tablet filled with learning materials. Ngozi stared at it like it was treasure. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "Thank you for seeing me when nobody else did." Chief Adebayo smiled. "You were never invisible, Ngozi. You just needed someone to look close enough." That night, Ngozi sat under the mango tree in the garden. She looked up at the stars and whispered, "My name is Ngozi, daughter of Amaka, friend of blessing, student of Royalty International Academy. And now I have a father." She closed her eyes and smiled. "God, I used to ask you to heal my mother, to send me to school, to give me just one friend. You gave me all three. Thank you." She placed her hand over her heart. "I promise I won't waste this chance." The girl the world called the Mad Woman's daughter had become something greater. A symbol of hope. A living miracle. Proof that one act of kindness can change a life forever. And for Chief Adebayo, for blessing, and for everyone who believed in her, Ngozi was the answer to a prayer they didn't know they were praying. The future had opened its doors. And she walked through them head held high.